everyone, welcome back into the Fantasy Pros Football Podcast. I'm co-host Bobby Sylvester alongside Mike Tagliere as always. For those of you who might be new to the podcast, or if you're one of these people wishing we put one out every day, all of our off-season shows are still relevant, so you can go back through the library on iTunes and listen into our old advice. We've got guest Jake Ciely of RotoExperts.com joining us today to do a PPR mock draft. Jake, how's life?
Yeah, life is busy. It's draft kit time, so it can't get much busier than it is right now.
It's fun though, man. This job is just the best.
It is, but it's never ending either. For everybody out there that wants to do this, you have to realize, and this isn't an exaggeration, you want to do an 80-hour work week, then get into this business.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth it. Don't get me wrong. Maybe I'm saying this because I just came back from vacation 2 weeks ago, so I'm feeling like refreshed and good to go and stuff. And I'm not trying to meet like a draft kit deadline right now. So, but yeah, we get to talk. We get to do a mock draft this morning for work, and like I've got allergies because we're recording in the morning, and Tags, I know you do too. So you guys are just gonna have to forgive us.
No, yeah, we're gonna be okay, man. Like I'm getting past my sniffles. I'm not sick. It's just the allergies kicking in. But it's funny you mentioned that, Jake. My weekend, my mom, she has a boat, and so she invited my wife, my son, my daughter. We all went on the boat this weekend, and we're out there. And my mom goes, "It's really nice to see you away from your desk, Mike, because every time she comes over, she sees me at my desk. So she knows I'm always working. But it's funny because I just tell people I don't have Mondays anymore. Like this is Monday, but it's fun day. Like this is basically just as good as a Friday for me because I'm sitting in front of a computer talking to my best buddies about football. It can't get any better.
So for those of you who don't know, we do an expert accuracy competition. That way we know which experts are giving great advice and which ones aren't as consistent, so we can tell you guys. Jake has been killing it every single year in the baseball competition and the football competition. A load of top 5 finishes in both sports. So basically, whatever he says today, I'm just going to adopt it as my own, so I end up looking really smart. Is that cool with you, Jake?
That is cool, but you got to get it right though. It's it's a lot of top 5 finishes in football, but back-to-back number 1 in baseball. Like that, you kind of have to include that part.
Well, I mean, this is the first year I'm doing the expert accuracy competition in baseball, so I'm planning on putting that to an end this year.
Oh, okay. Definitely. I look for a challenge.
Sounds good. Before we begin, I want to tell you all, in many cases, remind you all that we're having a giveaway going on right now. Fantasy Pros got this sweet Le'Veon Bell signed jersey from pristineauction.com, and we're giving it away. The entry to this contest is free, 100% free. All you have to do is just take 20 seconds, subscribe, and leave us a review on iTunes. Then take a screenshot and email it to contest@fantasypros.com. You can go to the Fantasy Pros Twitter handle too, and the pinned tweet is a link to the article that describes it and the giveaway. Tags, can you believe I just said screenshot correctly? Our content manager has been giving me a real hard time about this. I keep saying snapshot instead of screenshot. I got it this time. I'm so pumped.
Yeah, when you were out last week, I actually made it a point to emphasize screenshot when I did it because, yes, they were definitely giving you crap in the chat about that. But no, I want to thank our sponsor for today, pristineauction.com, guys. That's PRISTINE auction.com. They do have daily auctions with hundreds of items. Okay, so when you go to their website, I promise you, when you register, all we ask that you do is you're going to go in there. It's absolutely free. You go in there and they ask, how did you hear about us? Tell them that you heard about us on Fantasy Pros. That way we're able to do more giveaways like that Le'Veon Bell signed jersey that we're doing. Like I said, they have something from every NFL team. You're able to go on there. Helmets, that's my biggest thing right now. And last night, it was funny, I went on there, and everybody knows about my affinity for Amari Cooper. There's an Amari Cooper signed helmet on there, and I was...
Don't do it, Tags.
No, I was seconds away from ordering it. My wife said, no, wait until we have all of our new house stuff done, and I'm thinking maybe it's a Father's Day gift. So I think she was trying to hold me back, but if you're out there and like...
So you were like bidding against your wife?
Basically, so if you're a dad out there and your wife asks you, what do you want for Father's Day? Because a lot of times my wife will ask me and I'll say, I don't know. I usually get the things when I want them. So just, tell them you want a helmet of your favorite team because I'm positive they have it on there. They do guarantee it's authentic, coming from only the most trusted sources out there. Again, it's free. You never have to pay to bid on an item, and you only pay when you win, which, after all, it is the point. So go check out pristineauction.com. Let them know Fantasy Pros sent you, and thank you guys for all the reviews. You guys have been rock stars. I thanked you guys on Twitter this weekend because, I woke up today and we're at 184 reviews and counting. I love you guys. Thank you for the support. And we're trying to work on that. For those of you who have said we want 5 shows a week, we're working on that. Just keep coming to the show, keep the downloads coming, and we will go to 5 days a week.
I especially love the review where they said that you had the beard of Gimli.
Yeah,
and that I looked like a Johnny Damon, even though he kind of looks like a caveman. But I was pretty happy when I read that one.
If Jake was part of the show, they would say that he looks like a young boy, right? Like, because Jake is he's a pretty boy, right, Jake?
Yeah, sure.
All right, so guys, we're doing a PPR mock draft today, and the way we're doing that, Fantasy Pros, if you guys haven't seen this, we have something called the Draft Wizard, and it's my absolute favorite tool on Fantasy Pros. It's actually how I found the site, and I'm really glad I did because then I got a job with them. But the Draft Wizard, you draft basically against experts. And it grades you at the end of the draft. So we're going to have a competition today. I'm pretty sure I did this with Jake once and he got like a 100%. So I'm going to be competing against Tags for second place here. And what you need to do is you just go to the Fantasy Pros homepage and you'll see Draft Wizard over there on the left side. Click on that. You can compete with us. So go ahead and pause it now so you can do the same league settings as us. Make sure you click scoring system PPR, number of teams 12. We're all going to randomize our draft order and then roster positions, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex, standard flex that is, 1 defense special teams. We're not doing a kicker because kickers are garbage, and 5 bench spots. Does that make sense?
If there's anything I learned from Jake, it's that kickers are garbage, and I definitely eliminated kickers a while ago, but I know Jake's against the PPR format, but...
Me too. Jake, you sold me on PPR too, man.
Him and I, we can disagree on that a different day because I'm a PPR guy.
Oh, you like free garbage points.
Well, hold on a second. So we can do this. So, all right. So, Jake, you're in the business of projecting things. Bobby, you're starting to get there. You're starting to do this stuff. So, what I'm saying, when you're talking about projecting a player like, let's present a receiver. We'll go with Antonio Brown. He catches 9 balls for 81 yards. You know, we're talking about 17 fantasy points, or 17.1. And then you have J.J. Nelson who comes out and catches a touchdown for, let's say it's a 50-yard touchdown. Should that
that 50-yard touchdown helped his NFL team so much, though.
But we're playing fantasy football, and like what my point on is, we want to make this game as skillful as possible to get rid of all the randomized luck, to get rid of the scores like that. I understand it helps his team win, and that's perfectly fine. But when talking about fantasy sports, I want it as predictable as possible, so it gives those who've done the research and can properly project that. I can more likely predict Antonio Brown catching 9 balls for 81 yards than I can J.J. Nelson catching a 50-yard touchdown. So for me, I think there's a good line in between. I think you could do half PPR, but I definitely prefer PPR.
So here's the thing, is when it comes to projections, you're definitely right, and it definitely needs to be more skill. But you're kind of taking the extremes there, and I understand, and that's always going to happen. You're going to get the same people who want to argue against PPR make the extremes too, and basically what it really comes down to for me is it's free points. PPR started when running backs were dominating the first round, and everybody said we got to do something to increase the value for wide receivers, and it was a reactionary scoring system. And now wide receivers and running backs, as we well know and as we'll see in this draft, are on the same playing field now, and especially in PPR now, it's vaulted them over top of running backs to the opposite direction. Not to mention, here's the biggest part, and yes, it might sound like an extreme because I brought up that point to begin with, but my biggest problem with it is if you get blown up on a screen for a 5-yard loss, you still get a positive half of a point. It's free points.
Well, hold on. Just ask Jordan Howard how hard it is to actually catch a ball. That's not a free point. Jordan Howard dropped 5 balls in a game last year, so those are not free points. You have to actually catch the ball.
No, it is free points. We're giving you a point for doing your job. It's the same thing. Like, okay, so I'm going to give you a point for making a good block, or I'm going to give you a point for. I hate first downs too, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are clamoring for that as well. But it's the same thing for me. It was like, why should a 1-yard run for a first down count more than the 9-yard run that set it up and actually made your run possibly easier? And I know a lot of people are going to argue, and then they're going to say, well, it's really tough to gain that 1 yard when everybody's stacking the box. At the same time, it's the same thing. I'm going to go back to the receiver one, and let's take the extremes out of it. Why does a 1-yard catch for 1 yard count more for a 9-yard in a standard? And that's really what it is. Or even a 9-yard run to set that up.
I'm with you, man.
Oh, man, I swear to God, we could talk about this forever, but I really want to do this draft, and it is a PPR draft, so you guys know. So take that into understand that as we go through this draft. I can
still do it.
Yeah.
So we all randomized our picks. What picks do you guys end up with? I got number 6.
Oh, nice. I got number 10.
I got number 3. Yuck. I am happy. I got number 3.
Did you hit the randomize button like 5 times to get the spot?
No, it was actually just the first time when I popped it up. I didn't even
just did the drop down and picked it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you guys would be surprised at the angle I would take with the number 3 pick. But we'll see.
Yeah, let's see it. You're up first, man. Who do you got?
All right, since I'm number 3, I think people, I understand loving David Johnson. I understand loving Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell would be my first pick. I just want to state that right now. But I think people are going a little bit overboard with the whole running back love. I've always been the type that say running backs have been devalued the last couple years, and I think it went overboard that way. We are just on the extreme, the other end now, because David Johnson last year scored 100 more PPR points than Antonio Brown, the number 1 receiver in PPR. Like 100 points. That's ridiculous. And so I understand why people want to do it. But if you go back to 2015, the number 1 wide receiver had 378 PPR points, number 1 running back 316. So it's like, we have to look at somewhere in between. So for me, when you look at the players left, I'm looking right now. So David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell went. I'm looking at Antonio Brown and Ezekiel Elliott. For me, in a PPR, I'm going to take the 100 balls plus that Antonio Brown is going to catch. And if you're worried about him with Martavis Bryant coming back, don't. Antonio Brown's biggest 2 years were with Martavis Bryant on the field. Antonio Brown is on my team.
I like the pick. I mean, you had the number 3 pick, so of course I'm going to like it. I have the number 6 pick, so I'll go next. And I've seen Odell Beckham drop to number 6 here in a lot of mock drafts that I've done. He was taken 4th, so it's really an easy choice for me. I've got Julio Jones, LaShawn McCoy, Mike Evans, AJ Green there. Tampa Bay's added so many pieces that I think Mike Evans' targets are going to go way backwards. And really, Julio Jones is the only other option here, so I'm not too happy about it. I would definitely take Odell Beckham and even Zeke over him in PPR, but Julio Jones is the clear choice for me.
Not happy about Julio Jones. Get out of here.
Yeah, I like it. I like it just because he's not taking Odell Beckham. That's what you get for blocking me on Twitter, you jerk. That's exactly.
Jake is so salty that Odell Beckham, for some reason, blocked him on Twitter.
I think he misunderstood the fact that I was joking about the boat and saying how ridiculous it was. And by that being said, you know what? If you're that petty that you're going to search out every tweet that says boat in your name and you're just going to block everybody, think good. I'm going to throw your jersey away. Anyway, I'm ending up with the number 10 pick. Yeah, you know what? To be honest with you, I would love to have 4 in a PPR, 3 in a standard. And if I don't end up there, I actually prefer to be closer towards the back end than dead in the middle this year.
Okay.
I'm actually left with the decision of, it looks like Melvin Gordon or Jordy Nelson, because the top 5 wide receivers are off the board, top 4 running backs, and Devontae Freeman. So 9 picks, and it's I understand the Melvin Gordon love. I'm actually going to go because it is PPR, and I have a feeling the running back I want in the second round might end up there. I couldn't end up screwing myself over with this one, but I don't think Jordy Nelson gets enough love. Honestly, in a standard league, I'm willing to take Jordy Nelson as the number 2 wide receiver off the board because everybody's talking about Julio Jones' foot. Everybody's talking about Odell Beckham and Mike Evans, the other competitions with them and all that. Jordy Nelson was the number 1 wide receiver last year. Jordy Nelson, 2 years ago, back when he was healthy in 2014, top 3 wide receiver. In PPR, number 2 and 3. I don't understand why people don't get more on board with Jordy Nelson in this offense with Aaron Rodgers. So I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to take Jordy Nelson in the first round.
I like the
really interesting.
Going number 2 is a little interesting, but I mean, Jordy Nelson. Here's the thing. We were talking. I think I talked to
number 2 wide receiver, not number 2 overall.
Right. I think right, exactly. But Evan Silva, we had him on and we started talking about him and the fact that his yards per reception have dipped and he's kind of going the Larry Fitzgerald route where it's like he's playing in the slot more often. His yards per reception was typically in the high 15s. It dropped down to like 13 in 2016. So I'm a little more concerned that he's going towards the more possession style receiver and that Devontae Adams may be the field stretcher / touchdown guy. But Jordy Nelson, I think he's a safe pick. I just don't know if I would go as high as number 2.
No, see, the problem I don't have is he's going to be catching 13, 14, 15 touchdowns every single year.
Yeah, well, it's
I
Aaron
think you're
Rodgers,
right. He's a big dude, too.
Yeah.
So who are you taking here in the second round on the swing around? Did you get the running back you wanted?
The gamble pretty much paid off, exactly. So Melvin Gordon went, not surprisingly. Jordan Howard also went. The running back I was hoping that would come back around, who I think is getting devalued this year because everybody's scared about his age and the guy behind him, and well, especially at PPR, DeMarco Murray. I'm gobbling him up in the second round. People want to jump off board and get off the train with somebody else. I have no problem with DeMarco Murray as my number 1 in a PPR. Not at all.
You have got the all old guys team right now.
Not so far. And now I watch 7,000 picks go until my next one comes up.
Yeah, for real. So Amari Cooper is at the top of not my board, but the ECR board. Everyone knows there's no way I'm taking Amari Cooper. I wouldn't take him if it was like 8 picks later and he was still there. So my options here, Des Bryant. I could reach for Gronk. If Gronk stays healthy all season and you have him on your team, you win your league. It's over. But I don't know. I can't see drafting him this early at pick 19. So I guess I'm going to go with Des Bryant.
You know what's funny is I'm staring at the exact same choices. So I'm like 3 picks after you in my draft. So we're all doing different drafts. It's just whatever the randomizer pulls up. So Des Bryant, Amari Cooper, and Gronk are still on the board for me. Now, granted, I grabbed Antonio Brown in the first round, and usually I want to grab a running back, and I still do. But at the same time, Lamar Miller, Leonard Fournette, and Carlos Hyde are the top running backs in my board. And actually, it would be in the order of Fournette, Hyde, and Lamar Miller. But Fournette doesn't really catch very many passes. I think they're going to involve Yeldon there a little bit. Carlos Hyde is not known to be a pass-catching running back. So for me, I'm going to go one of the wide receivers here. And Bobby, man, I want to take Cooper just to get at you, but I have Des Bryant higher. So I am going to end up with Des Bryant here, even though I am a little concerned about the schedule. He has one of the most brutal schedules in the National Football League, and it hurts him because, Jake, I don't know if you've looked at it, but the cornerbacks that he's going to face throughout the year, we know that they're locked on Des Bryant. There is no other player on the team that they have to worry about in terms of catching passes. So that's the concern there.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I really wanted to take DeAndre Hopkins or Keenan Allen. You guys know me, but I couldn't do it. It was just too early. Yeah. I know you'd say yuck. But again, I just love the high upside guys. You know, unless you're playing in an expert league, you can expect to be able to pick up plenty of solid guys on the waiver wire. So I want all the superstars I can get. And if Keenan Allen stays healthy, he's a first-round value.
He's a top 5 wide receiver, as we've seen in the past, and probably doesn't get that with all the options they have now. But
Good point.
You know what the ceiling is, and I don't have a problem with Keenan Allen. The thing is, I'm telling everybody out there is I'm with you. If you want to go for the ceiling with Keenan Allen, that's fine. Just know that you have to back him up with a solid number 2. And you brought up the other guy before. You can't pair him with a Cooper because Cooper, I keep telling people this every single year, he's a worse version of Brandon Cooks, and people don't realize that with the inconsistency. So for your number 2, if you draft a Keenan Allen, you want to make sure you get somebody like Demaryius Thomas or Golden Tate or Doug Baldwin or somebody up there that you know you're going to be able to rely on for 16 games to kind of offset that risk you just took.
Wait a minute. Did you guys both just admit that you would take Keenan Allen over Doug Baldwin?
No.
Yeah, I would.
I think they're neck.
Close.
They are neck and neck for me. It depends on how my first pick went and what's probably looking at me on the board there.
I mean, Baldwin went one spot higher than Keenan Allen in my draft, so it's not really a stretch.
I just wrote yesterday, last night, around 8, 9 o'clock, that Baldwin doesn't get the respect and has been a wide receiver one the last 2 years, and maybe finally he will. But I understand the point is they're side by side. Allen still has the higher ceiling. It just really depends on how you want to construct your team.
I disagree 100%. I have an article. Hold on a second. I have an article coming out on Keenan Allen later this week. Pay attention because if you guys read it and tell me that you're still buying Allen, I promise you I will give up. But I promise you when you read it, there will be no rebuttal. None.
I mean, I'm still I don't care what it says. I'm still taking Keenan Allen above Amari Cooper.
No, don't do that. Don't do that. I have one on Cooper too, so you'll look forward to that, Bobby.
Okay,
I'm writing these
will.
just for you. I swear to God. No, they just happen to be polarizing players, and that's why I'm writing the articles on them. So if there's anybody you guys want me to write about, hit me up on Twitter and let me know because I've been trying to take recommendations from players that people want to hear about, and it's funny that. Seth DeValve. I actually got one on Rico Gathers, Kristen Michael. But no, so coming back to the third round in my pick here, it's funny you guys mentioned it. Doug Baldwin is still on the board. And I have 2 wide receivers.
So lucky.
I have Antonio Brown, Des Bryant. Doug Baldwin is right there in that tier with Des Bryant. So it's either I'm looking at Leonard Fournette or Doug Baldwin. And honestly, it's hard for me to pass on a running back here, but I'm going to do it just because Doug Baldwin, the third round of a PPR, it's unmissed. I can't pass that up, so I'm gonna be stacked at wide receiver and hit my running backs up a little bit later.
So you guys heard Tags. He loves the 0 running back strategy.
No,
is that what you're saying?
No, I'm actually against going in with that strategy. But
I know, man. I'm just messing.
No, you'll see as my draft plays out. We'll get there.
So we talked about Demaryius Thomas, and he's the best player on my board. It's really not even close. I could go get Alshon Jeffrey or Travis Kelce or go get a running back or Isaiah Crowell. Are you kidding me? Someone would take Crowell this early. That just blows my mind. So it's Demaryius Thomas. I've got 3 wide receivers as well, and it's PPR. He's a target hog. I love him.
That was hilarious. Jake, hold on a second. Jake, while we're here, and he mentioned it, what's your take on Crowell this year?
I'm a big fan of Crowell. Even in PPR, obviously he gets a hit to his value, but the fact is, look, Hugh Jackson, this offense, he was a terrific running back last year. Actually, one of the more consistent options that people didn't realize. This offensive line is still one of the better units in football. I mean, it's not up there along the best in the league, but it's definitely one of the better units. And the fact is they're going to run the ball. They're going to lean on their running game. Cody Kessler is not going to start turning into his pass-heavy offense, even if it's Deshaun Kaiser, which pray to God for their sakes it's not. The dude definitely cannot start year one and see a lot of success, at least in my opinion, from what I've seen. I think it's going to be a Crowell-led team, and Duke Johnson is good for a bounce-back year. I agree, but I think that's because it's Hugh Jackson and these both running backs, as he did with Cincinnati, is going to see plenty of value. I like Crowell a lot. He was, you know this, Mike. It goes back to the year he came out from college, and a lot of people didn't know about him because he went undrafted and missed out. He was originally going to be in the SEC and had those off-the-field problems. He was my number one rated running back on talent that year.
Wow, number one. That's the thing is, so for me watching Crowell, I'm not a huge Crowell guy. I watch him and I'm just like, okay, like we talked about this before, like his runs, so many of them were on big runs last year, and we can't take that away from him, but at the same time, his high yards per carry was a little bit skewed. My thing on him is that he's going a little bit undervalued in PPR because people don't realize Crowell, as the year went on, they started throwing him more and more and more passes, and Duke Johnson seemed to be phased out just a little bit. I still like Duke Johnson as a talent. I still think that they should use them in tandem, but Isaiah Crowell finished number 14 in standard leagues. He finished number 14 in PPR, so there was literally no hit in PPR leagues for him because he started catching passes. Hugh Jackson saying a bunch of good things about him. They tendered him as a second round level, which tells me that they actually do value him on that team. So for me, I think Crowell, I'm fine drafting him as a high-end RB2 and hoping for more. But I've seen some people have him as high as number 9. I can't do that.
No, I definitely don't have that. I actually have him 14th overall in standard. And
yeah, that's about right.
Somewhere right around there. No, and the hit that I give him in PPR is actually have people leapfrogging him. It's not so much the lost value, as you mentioned, because he finished 14th and 14th, but we have additional running backs this year, especially some of the rookies, that I have leapfrogging him. It's more about that than anything else. But
yeah,
it's funny you guys say this because I don't know who I'm drafting with my experts, but one, I'm pissed off that somebody jumped the board and took Devontae Adams because he's been so underrated to me. I actually have him as a wide receiver 1 in standard, and people are already jumping down my throat about that one, and I don't understand why. 2 years ago it was, oh my God, can you imagine what Devontae Adams is going to do? And he disappoints, and last year he turns into the receiver we want him to be, and then all of a sudden it's like, I don't buy it. Like, seriously, pick a side, guys. So somebody jumped on him, and I'm with the same people on the board. Somebody took Leonard Fournette. Marshawn Lynch came off the board, so my choices are Demaryius Thomas or Sammy Watkins, and in no way on hell is Sammy Watkins touching my team. Oh. And then at running back, it's McCaffrey, Hyde, and then down the list from there. So the easy choice to me is Demaryius Thomas. I don't even think there's another option on the board that I should take and should be slapped in the face if I did. So Demaryius Thomas at the end of the third round is amazing for me.
And should be smacked in the face.
It's true. And then we got McCaffrey right after that. I like that pick. That's the other way I would have leaned if not for the fact is, again, I was trying to predict who might fall to me in the next round, and it worked out well because it went Sammy Watkins, Landry, Kelsey after McCaffrey, and my boy, I don't want to say that. Just strike that from the record. I don't want to say my boy with this guy. He's the best talented running back in the draft. We have to play fantasy. I understand if you don't want him on your team, but Joe Mixon is the running back that I'm taking at the top of the third round. There's no question.
I'm glad you got your boy.
Yeah, really stop. No, we're not doing that. I retracted that statement.
No, it's a great pick, though. Joe Mixon is extremely talented, and he's starting to move higher and higher up draft boards when people realize that Jeremy Hill is not very good and Gio Bernard's not healthy.
I've been taking him in the third round mostly.
Yeah, I like him in the fourth. I like getting him in the fourth, and that's where you ultimately got him. He went at 4-5 in my draft.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, I would take him late third as well. Depending on who was available. If Demaryius Thomas is sitting there in PPR, yeah, I'm taking him first. But I really like Joe Mixon this year in fantasy. And he's still there on my board. So is Devontae Adams. I like them both, but Travis Kelce's still there. And now that Jeremy Macklin's gone, Travis Kelce is essentially the number one option on that team, which is really bizarre to say for a tight end. But his ECR sitting there at number 30. This is pick 43. I got to pull the trigger.
I like it. I'm more than okay with that in the fourth round.
Oh, by the way, Mike, do you know who I passed on, right, at running back?
Did you pass on Carlos Hyde?
C.J. Anderson.
Oh, God, don't do that. Actually, it's funny. My pick just came up, and I'm going with C.J. Anderson, 100%.
Oh,
no. He's someone that's being, totally overlooked right now, and I don't understand why. Why are people worried about Jamal Charles? It's not even a guarantee that he's going to make the team. People understand that, right? It was only $1 million deal, and he's not guaranteed to make the roster. And there's already things coming out saying that he's still not ready to run. Guys, if he is still not ready to run at this point, it has been what? Almost a year and a half, and he's still not running. So for me, Jamal Charles is not a concern. C.J. Anderson has been a monster on the field. People talk about, well, they drafted Devontae Booker. Yeah, they did, and they put him on the field last year, and he was awful. Then they talk about, well, C.J. Anderson, it seems like they may have moved on with the Jamal Charles move. No, this is literally insurance, because you saw what happened at the running back position last year. They couldn't have had enough depth. They went through Capri Bibbs. They went through Justin Forsett at the end of the year. So for me, C.J. Anderson is a guy that they literally went out and matched Miami's offer. If you guys remember, C.J. Anderson was supposed to be a Miami Dolphin. The Dolphins didn't really have that much faith in Ajayi. They wanted C.J. Anderson, gave him a big deal. Denver matched it. They love this guy. It's just they're worried about his health, and it's understandable. But when he's on the field, he is one of the better running backs in football, and he's undervalued. So for me, getting C.J. Anderson at the end of the 4th round is a no-brainer. I honestly believe that if he stays healthy, he's an RB1.
He was good last year against a very tough schedule too, so I think he bounces back as well. I'm on that team.
All you need to know is if I cut the cord, that means everybody else should.
I'm getting on when you're getting off. I'm just replacing you,
I will
Jake.
say this, Mike, for everything you just said, don't write off Devontae Booker 100% yet, because everybody did that the year before with Melvin Gordon, and look what happened with Melvin Gordon last year.
But Melvin Gordon was like the only option, whereas Devontae Booker, like, he had every opportunity to like run with that job, and he just looked awful. I think he's just better as a 3rd down back, like a Chris Thompson
Their offensive
type.
line was horrible.
Agreed, but that's what I'm saying. Is he a
Melvin
better
Gordon
running back?
looked horrible as a rookie. I'm not disagreeing with you, Mike, for that fact. But if C.J. Anderson, this goes back to college, and he can't stay on the field. If he can't stay on the field, as you mentioned with Jamal Charles, Devontae Booker might be their best and only option again. I just say, I'm taking a late round flyer. You don't need to even draft him at 9th, 10th round, but nobody's drafting Devontae Booker. If I'm going to throw a flyer out there like 13th, 14th round, who could be somebody that's like, oh my God, look what happened, Melvin Gordon this year, is Devontae Booker, I'm just taking a stab at it. You might cut him by week 2, but that's basically my point.
If something happens to C.J. Anderson, the Broncos are going to go out and trade for Carlos Hyde, so we don't have any worries.
Okay.
All right, Tex, you take him with your next one.
So I just took C.J. Anderson. I have 3 wide receivers, like 3 stud wide receivers, and a running back. The running backs are going to get really thin really quick, but I still feel like if I wait, I might be able to grab an Abdullah, maybe a Ty Montgomery. Those are like Mark Ingram's on the board, but right now I'm looking at Greg Olsen and thinking, tight end in PPR, Greg Olsen's been a monster. Like, he's been a top 5 tight end ever since he's been playing with Cam Newton. So for me, Greg Olsen is just, I think it's just too good of a value. And I'm usually not someone that wants to take a tight end this early, but in the 5th round, when I'm looking at guys like Mark Ingram, the wide receivers on the board, Golden Tate, Emmanuel Sanders, I'm not there. So I'm going to go after Greg Olsen here and hope that my team it pays off.
I mean, that's a solid pick. If he was still there on the board, I'd grab him. Well, not really, because I already have a tight end. But, it's Greg Olsen every year. You know what you're going to get from him. So I like the pick. My board is ugly right now. I'm not very happy about it. I've got Jordan Reed at the top. I already said I got a tight end. I could go quarterback. I like to wait on Phillip Rivers and make him my quarterback. Greg Olsen is still there. Stephon Diggs. Ty Montgomery's the best running back. But that's way down there. I could probably wait on him. I don't have a running back, though, so... Man, I don't know. I'm going to go with Andrew Luck. I think Andrew Luck's the number 2 quarterback. I have him ahead of Tom Brady. So if he's on the board at this point, I think you got to grab him.
I have no issue with you taking Andrew Luck as the number 2 quarterback. I just think it's crazy. You have 0 running backs still, and we're going to be going into, the 6th round?
Hey, man, good news. Ty Montgomery lasted, so that's who I'll be taking next.
Jake,
I got lucky there.
Jake, who are you looking at right now?
Not a very attractive board myself either. I got Emmanuel Sanders there, but I already took Demaryius Thomas. Not that I have a problem. Like, I talked about it before, I would happily pair Nelson and Adams on the same team, but that's with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback and not Trevor Siemian. So I don't.
Paxton Lynch.
Yeah, well, I actually think that might happen this year, to be honest with you. But I don't want to pair Sanders and Demaryius Thomas together.
Yeah.
Mark Ingram is the top running back on the board, but there's a couple guys I'd like for their values where they're going to be more than that afterwards. So I'm actually going to go the same route. I don't regularly ever do this, take a tight end this early, but because Greg Olsen is still there, and it's the back end of the 5th round, and the fact is if you look at PPR drop-off, the next closest to him is Delaney Walker, and I have him 30 points behind in projections. It's just kind of a value pick at this point, so I'm going to take Greg Olsen as well.
Yeah, I can't believe he fell to you. Like, that's I thought
all these picks that we keep getting early, Jake is just like, they'll drop to me.
It's just like, it doesn't matter. I'm drafting with a whole bunch of different people. I don't know why. And the best part about it is the guys that I'm drafting with, quote unquote, there's already 5 quarterbacks off the board, so I'm loving this so far. Yeah. Emmanuel Sanders went, and now Mark Ingram is still there. Oh God. But I'm not going to go with – I'm actually going to go with Dante Moncrief, who's still on the board as well. I think that all the excitement from last year and the fact that he scored 7 out of 9 games despite the one game where he got hit in, so actually 7 out of 8 games. I know this is a risky pick, and I know he's going to be a little bit more valuable in standard than PPR, but if everybody's excited about what he could potentially do over a full season with Andrew Luck, I'm going to take, at this point, with what I've had for my draft so far, Murray, Mixon, Nelson, Thomas, and Olsen, I've got so much reliability there, even with the rookie, that I'm just going to go for the upside of Dante Moncrief.
Moncrief's situation is eerily similar to Devontae Adams of last year. You know, like people, like granted, Moncrief is being drafted a lot higher than Adams was last year, but the situation, like with the bad defense, with the top tier quarterback, with understanding that he was expected to be a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1 the prior year, he was a letdown. Everything about it, T.Y. Hilton is the Jordy Nelson, whereas he is the Devontae Adams. So there's so many things. The running game is not there. Frank Gore has averaged 3.8 yards per carry over the last 2 years with the Colts. Yeah, I mean, I love the pick.
I can't believe Moncrief was still there. He was picked 20 picks ago in my draft. All right, you guys know I'm taking Ty Montgomery. I don't understand why he's 57 ECR in a PPR league. I'm getting him at pick 67, by the way. But why is he 57? Like, are people that scared of Jamal Williams?
I want to single-handedly take responsibility for that, even though if it's not my entire fault. But yes, look, here's what it comes down to. I'm going to say it again, and I'm not 100% right about these things, but more often than not, I am. And I said that Jamal Williams this year is going to be Jordan Howard of last year, that it's not going to be from day one. It might take a few weeks. Heck, it might be middle of the season, just as it was with Jordan Howard. But he's going to take over that backfield. And when he does, he's going to be a top 15 running back, because Jamal Williams, in my mind, from what I've seen, is that good. What I wrote about him
he's great.
In the article when I did the draft time was I said he's got Madden button moves, a great lower body disconnect, and you don't want Ty Montgomery carrying the ball 20 times a game, and you don't want him at the goal line, as we saw last year. I think that they're still going to use Ty Montgomery plenty, but I really do believe Jamal Williams takes over as their lead running back at some point. And then if Ty Montgomery ever were to go down, that would make it easy. But I think his talent is going to win out anyway.
I like the comparison. I do like it because I've liked Jamal Williams, and if you know the backstory on him, and if you kind of look into it, because like if you just look at it from the outside and just like make assumptions about a player, about the fact that he was suspended from school, he left school for a year and then came back, like the whole story behind it is kind of it's kind of overplayed. Jamal Williams he's a really good kid actually, and all he does is work with his uncle and run up hills, kind of like a Walter Payton scenario that he used to do, like Jerry Rice. These players used to do that. I'm not comparing him to those guys, but I'm saying is Jamal Williams, I love the comparison there to Jordan Howard. I have my concerns just because I don't know if he matches what Green Bay would want to do. Like right now, I think Ty Montgomery fits the offense a little bit better, which is why I like Montgomery, but Williams is an excellent stash. Looking at my board, Mark Ingram is still on the board here at the end of the 6th round, as is Ty Montgomery. And for me, I'm going to rid myself of the questions of that Packers backfield, and I'm going to take Mark Ingram just because Mark Ingram's not going away. People are talking about Peterson, and I get it. I haven't written off Peterson.
And Kamara.
Well, that's the thing. Kamara, he's a rookie.
I think he's going to be Darren Sproles.
Yeah, it's more like Travaris Cadet maybe from last year. Maybe he takes that role, and I don't think anybody was running to get Cadet last year in PPR formats. So for me, Mark Ingram is the lead running back in this offense, and he's going to get tons of goal line work. So for me, Ingram is an RB2. I'm okay with it when I have the receivers and the tight end that I do.
That makes sense.
So yeah, it's back to me, and you know what's crazy, guys, is that he's still on the board, Ty Montgomery, and I'm looking to, it's either a quarterback or I start moving towards my flex. So for me, I'm going to keep building my depth on the team, and I know this hurts me once it grades the draft, but I'm going to just keep doing this. I'm actually going to go with Ty Montgomery here, and he's going to fill my flex spot.
That's beautiful. I can't believe you didn't take him before Ingram, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm not completely off Ingram like some people are.
No, I'd make the same move.
For me, I mean, I only have one running back, but the only good running back left is Powell, and I'm not even sure he's going to get that many carries. I mean, I know the yards per carry and everything, but you got Matt Forte in the backfield, and he's had a great NFL career, and the Jets are kind of stupid, so I don't know what to expect from them. But Pierre Garçon's still sitting there, and he's by far the best wide receiver on my board. I know his ADP is all the way down at 92, and this is pick 78, but his ECR is quite a bit higher, and there's a reason for that. He's going to get a ton of targets. I think he's a lock to be top 15 in targets in the NFL, and that might be a little bit conservative. He's definitely the number one in that offense. They're going to be passing quite a bit to play catch up. So Pierre Garçon is my flex.
I like it. He's actually, it's funny. You're going to be so mad, but I'll let you guys keep going. Jake, where are you at with the turn?
Same thing. The running backs aren't too. I could go Amir Abdullah, but I don't want to deal with that Detroit situation because Theo Riddick's still on the board, and even if Abdullah stays healthy, I know the excitement for him, but good God, man, let's stay on the field. So I'm just going to go the same route. Pierre Garçon's still there for me, and that's who I was going to take either way. I'm just going to throw Week 11 out the window because I've got like 3 or 4 guys on a bye already. So.
I never even, I don't know if you guys are like me. Like, when I'm in season-long leagues, I don't ever pay attention to bye weeks.
No,
ever.
Your team's not going to be the same by that point rolling around.
Correct.
Yeah. So it comes back, and he's still on the board. Amir Abdullah is still there. But you know what? Hold on. I'm going to see where, I think I could skirt through one more time. I'm going to roll the dice and see if Jamal Williams comes back around to me. And I'm actually going to take Abdul at this point. I can't ignore him. So I will take him at that pick. I mean, you're talking about the top of the 8th round. He's worth it there.
Oh, yeah. I 100% agree. If he was there for me this round, I'd be taking Abdullah. I debated him last round over Ty Montgomery, but I ultimately went with a better offense.
Man, I still need a second running back. This is not good. I've got Theo Riddick there and CJ Prosise there and Frank Gore. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not directing Frank Gore. It's Theo Riddick. Hopefully I can get Prosise next round because I could really go for a third running back here.
Yeah, it sounds like you could with your roster. It's funny because it came back to me, and now I'm looking at Frank Gore, CJ Prosise, Paul Perkins, and Mike Gillislee. And Garçon is still there. That's where you guys were going to be upset. Garçon is here at the end of the 8th round.
Garbage.
So that's why I'm going to go him to back up my starters.
We all got him.
Yeah, I got him at 8.
I'm not getting any of those picks.
Oh, God. I took him, and then, of course, Gillislee goes off the board. I was hoping to get Gillislee after that pick.
Serves you right.
Well, now it's okay. So it gives me I think I go quarterback here. I'm looking at Jameis Winston and Kirk Cousins. Tyrod Taylor's there. And I'm going to take the pick, because actually in an actual draft, I'd take Tyrod Taylor 100%. I like Tyrod Taylor. He's my number 7 quarterback, but I'm going to go with Jameis Winston because I need to diversify my teams because I have Tyrod Taylor everywhere. I'm not even kidding. So for me, I'm going to go with Jameis Winston here.
You're just going for the draft grade.
Well, I could do that because I have not mastered the draft grade tool because last draft we did on this show, I swear I did amazing. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to see the grade. And I was the worst of the 3 of us on here. So I need to get better at that.
So CJ Prosise and Frank Gore are still there for me. And it's Prosise. It's not even close.
Yeah. Prosise, I mean, in the PPR, I guess they're talking about him catching 70 or 80 balls, which is that's dumb. That's dumb, first off. I don't see that happening at all because Russell Wilson is not a guy that overly targets his running backs. He's not like a dump-off type quarterback. So, but Prosise, if he could stay healthy, he's probably the most talented running back on that team.
Yep. I'm screwing up the draft grade I'm going to get because now I'm taking Jamal Williams because he's by far the highest rated running back on my board. CJ Prosise is still there and round 10, which is very tempting. So is Mike Wallace is my top wide receiver, but I'm going to drop to the wide receiver. Oh, no, Kenny Britt went. I was going to take Kenny Britt, but he went. I missed that one. Cameron Meredith and Jordan Matthews. So it's between Mike Wallace or going with CJ Prosise. And since I have the running backs, I'm going to take Mike Wallace because he's underrated every single year. Outside the 1 year with the Vikings, the guy's been a top 25 wide receiver every single year. A little bit lower in PPR at times, but okay, say top 30. We'll call him top 30.
Yeah, he's always top 30, yeah.
Yeah, and he's ECR number 47 for wide receivers. I don't understand that. How are all the experts missing on this guy?
They haven't updated their rankings yet. They need to get on it.
That's
yeah, I don't know. It must be something like that.
That would have to be my guess. That would be my guess.
All right, so here I am. I've got the 4 wide receivers, 4 running backs. Dak Prescott's still there. I would never take a second quarterback this early, but Dak is still there.
Wait a minute.
Phillip Rivers is still there too, though. I'm going to get one of these guys. We're Tyrod Taylor, Marcus Mariota.
This is rigged. Dak Prescott. He went in the beginning of the 7th round in my draft.
I mean, but yeah, it was rigged for you guys getting Demaryius Thomas and Pierre Garçon 80 picks late. For me, I get my second quarterback. Whoop-de-doo. You know what I mean?
But Jake doesn't. Hold on, Jake. Jake doesn't like Dak Prescott.
Not as much as most people. I mean,
he has a 15, right? 15?
Yeah, I mean 15. But okay,
that's crazy.
I'm going to say the same thing. The gap between him and my 10th quarterback is 25 points over an entire year. It's 2 points per game. I still have him throwing for 3,800 yards and 24 almost touchdowns.
I don't know, man. You're being tough on my boy Dak.
And it's more about the people in front of him. Carr, Cousins, Stafford, Taylor, Mariota, Winston.
Bobby, and you'll like this. I saw this. Jake has Ben Roethlisberger at 17. So Bobby will like that.
That's where it deserves to be. You know why?
I do like it.
You know
Because
why?
he's unplayable on the road.
Exactly. He's Tom Savage on the road.
And he's going to be hurt for 4 home games, so who cares?
Well, and the thing is, too, is here's the best part about, though. I will say this. If Ben Roethlisberger, and I hate schedule strength, like that, people who break that, but, and I know that, Mike, you look at that, too. So I'm just saying, I hate it. I personally hate it. But if you're just talking about home-road splits, the second half of Steelers season is, I think, 6 home games, and that's where you're going to want to go after the Steelers.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so it's back to me. Kevin White's still on the board. You guys know I love him. Brashard Perriman's still there. But, if they go out and get Macklin, Perriman's just toast. So I'm going to wait on Kevin White. The pick predictor, which is a premium tool that we have, tells me Kevin White's almost certainly going to be there. I'm going to go get another running back. Kenneth Dixon's still on the board. I don't really like anyone after him, so I'm going to grab my last running back now and then load up with wide receivers.
Wow, Kenneth Dixon's still on the board too. Man, he went in the 6th round of mine. I'm convinced.
What?
I'm convinced this is rigged. He went at 6'9" in my draft, right in front of Mark Ingram actually. Right when I took Ingram. Man, now it comes to my pick. I have my quarterback. We're just stacking our benches now, so I'm looking at the highest upside play, and it looks like Kareem Hunt to me. I've told people that I don't think
he lasted that long for you?
Yeah, I don't think that Kareem Hunt is going to win the job right away. I'm actually a Spencer Ware fan. I'm taking Spencer Ware in a lot of MFL 10s because he's falling into the 5th, 6th, 7th round sometimes. So for me, it's worth the risk here to say, okay, maybe if I'm wrong on Spencer Ware, I can get a Kareem Hunt share, and he's on my bench. It's not doing any harm by being there. I'm choosing between guys like him and Matt Forte, Jeremy Macklin, Brashad Perriman. So for me, I'm just going to go with the high upside stash here and go with Hunt.
That's a decent pick. I like. Yeah. I'm more on the side of Kareem Hunt and the fact that I think he does take the job only because Spencer Ware wasn't the same after the injury. And I know we can all say it's the injury, but the two numbers keep throwing out is once he came back, it was 3.6 yards per carry, 2.6 after contact. Both of those numbers subpar.
Well, so hold on. So Jake, I want to know where this differs because I want to spend a second here. So DeMarco Murray, he's someone that you're okay taking. I think you took him in the 2nd round, right? So. Yeah. He was someone over the final 6 games of the year. He wasn't the same running back either. He ran for 3.5 yards per carry, scored just 1 touchdown, while Derrick Henry is actually a legitimate threat. Like, that guy is a monster, and he looked really, really, really good at the end of the year. So I'm curious where you're at. Like, what differs between that and someone like Spencer Ware?
I think that the Titans go in, and that's the other team I put right up there with the Cowboys for offensive line, by the way. Yeah. I think that the Titans go in for this season and start to share the workload from week 1, and versus DeMarco Murray getting 25 touches, sometimes 30 touches, sometimes 22. Like that, I think we could see a lot more of 20 and 10 starting from week 1, so DeMarco Murray is fresh towards this stretch. I think that's what really happened to him last year is that Murray started to slow. He's got a lot of wear on his tires at this point, and that's why I understand some of the concerns out there. But I think that the consistency will be better throughout the season because I have a feeling, at least from the reading about the reports from the teams and stuff like that, I just think they're going to see more of a 60-40 split from day 1 than versus what we kind of similar to what we did last year at the end of the season, but trending a little bit towards Murray for the entire year this time.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair enough. I was curious about it.
No, that's a fair question.
So, Tex, who are you taking on the swing around here?
All right, so it's back to my pick. I have 2 running backs there. All right, so I'm going to go with the upside wide receiver because, as you guys know, on my bench, I'm looking for upside options. It came down to either Jack Doyle, who I really like a lot. I think you could draft him as your starter, but I already have Greg Olsen, so I'm going to go with Brashad Perriman. I think he's the wide receiver to own in Baltimore just because I think Wallace is the safer one. I just don't think that Wallace has the upside that I would want on my bench, whereas like Perriman has the upside of like a wide receiver 2 in fantasy. I think I'm not a huge Perriman fan either, but getting him here in the the 12th round, I'm more than okay with that, or the 11th round.
All right, guys, I'm going to keep this simple. It's Kevin White time, baby. On to Jake.
Yeah, we knew that was coming.
Kevin White's long gone on mine, so I'm kind of looking for upside at this point too, and the 2 options I'm looking at are wide receiver for my bench. Robert Woods is still there, but again, I'm looking for upside. So it's probably between Enunwa and Doxson, and if he can stay healthy and just get on the dang field, I'm going to go with Doxson because he could be that team's number 1 wide receiver if healthy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's an excellent late round pick, and he might be what people think Terrell Pryor is going to be.
Yep, absolutely. And then coming around in the 12th round, and this is not the first time. I've actually done several magazine mock drafts and had this person as my quarterback and been taking him in the 11th, 12th round and screaming to the heavens that this guy's underrated and nobody respects him. but Phillip Rivers, top 10 quarterback. He was 8th
That a
again
baby.
last year with garbage wide receiver situation the entire season because he lost Keenan Allen from week 1. He's got 7 weapons. Melvin Gordon out of the backfield. Phillip Rivers is a lock for top 10. I don't understand why nobody wants to take him. I'm taking him in every draft I have.
Plus, they just added 2 great offensive linemen, too. This Chargers offense is going to roll.
Yeah, the defense is really good, too. The Chargers are like a sleeper team. But you guys, this is why Draft Wizard is a great tool, because it's not like the same mock draft over and over and over like you would do in like simulators. Phillip Rivers went in 7th round of mine. He went at 7-8, but
Wow.
Jake was able to just get him in the 12th round? So
Yeah,
like
12th. And my other choice, by the way, I could have taken Tyrod Taylor or Matthew Stafford. This draft just fell to me to wait on quarterbacks.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is certain drafts will do that. So that's why I think it's really neat to do the drafts on here, because it gives you different perspectives, and some will wait on quarterback, some won't, and it's really neat.
All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and take my second quarterback now because Marcus Mariota is still there, and there's really no one else that I like. Phillip Rivers was gone. Tyrod Taylor's gone, so that's what Madden.
Marcus Mariota in the 12th round. Get out of here. Get out of here. I'm looking at Eli Manning and Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor's still there, but
Hey, Eli Manning could be this year's Matt Ryan.
I actually agree with you. Like, the quarterback is so deep. Andy Dalton is there too.
That's
and I
the
love
other
Andy.
one.
Andy
Yep.
Dalton is fantastic. He's a great one that you could go with. Streaming quarterbacks, if there's any year that I was okay with it, it's this year. But for me, I'm going to pass on a quarterback. I'll take my next pick, because the Draft Wizard, the way it scores, I need a backup quarterback. I am going to take James White, because I think James White continues to be undervalued in drafts. I think that he proved himself. If you see how much money they gave James White in comparison to what they've given running backs over the years, they love James White. And honestly, I argued this when Deion Lewis had his breakout year, that James White was actually the more efficient running back, that he was the one that like people just continued to overlook. And even last year, with the limited touches he had, James White was phenomenal. So for me, I'm fine taking him as a bench stash. And my final pick before I get to my defense is going to be Tyrod Taylor.
I like it. I'm glad you got your guy tags.
I did. I'm telling you guys right now, if you guys are in a draft and you want to wait on quarterback, and you will be okay with Tyrod Taylor as your starting quarterback. And
Phillip Rivers.
And if you really feel the need, actually, Rivers, that's a whole different situation. His schedule to start the year is brutal. Like, I'm not kidding. The first 8 weeks of his schedule are brutal. That's why for me,
doesn't matter.
I want Rivers over the second half, but take Tyrod Taylor, pair him with someone like Andy Dalton, like Eli Manning, and you will be perfectly fine.
All right, guys, I'm going to go get my defense now because Seattle Seahawks is there on the board. I know you guys are going to make fun of me, but I'm a big believer in them, so that's where I'm going.
No, it's fine. Defense, if you can get a top defense the round before in the last, I'm okay with that. Usually I wait till the last round, but I can understand it.
Makes sense. Yeah, I understand. But I'm not going defense either. I'm actually going to go with the person who, they finally have their successor to the person who might finally fall off the cliff, although he never does, Frank Gore. And I'm going to take Marlon Mack at this point. Because if it ever finally happens, Marlon Mack will take over and be an RB2 in that offense. So
I like Marlon Mack a lot.
I'm on my last pick now, right?
Yeah.
Or is there?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. I need my defense. I think it's going to be the Arizona Cardinals, best defense on the board. I was surprised they were still there. I was actually ready to go with Jacksonville Jaguars, which I think people are not going to realize is going to be a really nice defense this year.
Oh yeah, I don't know how people
I'm glad to hear that, man.
Undervalue them. Yeah.
All right, guys. For my final pick, Jamal Williams is still on the board, so.
Jake's like,
I'm just kidding. I was hoping to get a great reaction out of Jake, nothing, man. What gives?
I didn't believe it. Not for a second. That was why.
Okay. All right, guys. I'm taking Kobe Fleener. Greatest tight end ever besides Hunter Henry.
It's a fantastic late pick. It's a fantastic one. He finished as a top 12 tight end last year. People don't know that. And my defense that I will take is just the top defense on the board, which is the Carolina Panthers. And that wraps up our draft, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So draft grades are in. I will let you guys go first. Tags, what do you have, man?
I dominated, dude. 98 out of 100.
You've got to be kidding me. No way.
I will screenshot. You hear that screenshot? I will screenshot this and send it to you.
All right, man.
I am not.
All right, I got it. I got a 96. I'm so bummed. That's like, I've never been beat by tags, and it's probably never going to happen again, but like, my day's ruined now.
That's hilarious.
It's because all those guys dropped you, man. That's the reason.
Boom.
All right, Jake, what'd you get, man?
Because I told you I torpedoed it early, especially with the Mixon and then Jamal Williams. I knew those two were going to drag me down, but I got a B minus 81 out of 100. And
yeah, I like your roster a lot.
I have to complain about I have to complain about one thing. It says I have the worst quarterback in the league. Yeah, we need to update here.
Yeah.
Hey, the experts.
I mean, it's based on expert rankings, so I mean, we gotta bust the other experts on Phillip Rivers. Or
they are all wrong. If Phillip Rivers isn't inside your top 10, your rankings are wrong.
I've got him number 6.
I don't have a problem with that. I have him number, I think 7 or 8, somewhere around there, and I don't have a problem with that at all.
I think we should get a friendly bet on this one. Because like me, I'm not opposed to Rivers. I actually think he has better weapons than he's ever had in his career, and all that, and I get that.
Phillip Rivers,
Tyrod Taylor.
Phillip Rivers.
Do it.
I'll take Tyrod. Are we doing points per game, or are we doing a season total?
Points per game.
Doesn't matter.
Well, season total only because
Tyrod Taylor's probably going to lose his job, so I don't want to do the points per game thing.
Tyrod's going to lose his job. Cardale Jones. Get out of here, you two.
Fantasy points per game, and you have to have at least 10 starts. Phillip Rivers versus Tyrod Taylor.
To Jay Cutler, man. Oh, God. Jay Cutler. We need to do a Jay Cutler romper giveaway, by the way. Signed romper giveaway.
I think this is the perfect place to end the show.
Yeah, it is. Guys, we usually break down our rosters, but we went a little bit late, so I'm just going to screenshot it, and I'll put it on my Twitter. That way you guys can see that my roster is actually better than Tag's. The scoring, there was just like a glitch.
Oh, mine's the best. We don't even have to do that. I can just
that
let
is
you know
shenanigans.
Right now.
I actually do like your roster the best, Jake. I would trade you my team for your team. So
good. You're smart.
All right, Jake, we really appreciate you coming on the show. It was fun, as always. And for those of you listening at home, we've got 2 more shows coming up next week, so make sure to tune in for those. Subscribe on iTunes, leave us the review, and screenshot it. Send it to contest. Send it to contest@fantasypros.com to enter the Le'Veon Bell signed jersey giveaway sweepstakes. Thanks for listening, and enjoy your football.
I just wanted you to watch me dissolve.